Hi, John Jenkins here from Hindsight. Welcome and thank you for joining us for this Hindsight user training on dashboards. This is the second of 4 videos in this series, so if you haven't watched the first in the series, which is around the setup, I would recommend that you go back and do that now. What you can see on a dashboard is largely driven by how you have configured your settings and your users' access rights. So I would recommend you go and take a look at that. If you're ready, I'll take you through and we'll take a look at what we're going to cover in this video. So, using dashboards, we're going to understand what you need to know and what needs to be tackled in a particular order. So everything around dashboards is driven to help you get the right information at the right time. We're going to take a look through the settings. So I just mentioned this a second ago, but the access rights are really important to determine who can see what. So we're going to have a very quick recap over assignees because that drives the dashboards. There is dummy data. So for each of the 4 dashboards that you can access, there is an example dashboard of those as well. There is dummy data for each of the 4 dashboards. So you may find sometimes you go into a dashboard and it comes up with a little modal explaining that it's example data. That is there purely to give you a visual representation of what you might see if you had access to those dashboards. So if you don't have access to those dashboards and you think you should do, then you would need to speak to your line manager about that and getting access. There is 3 different paid dashboards. We'll go through those each in a second, and there is 1 free dashboard that's available to users. Obviously, if you've got a mixture of clients on free and paid, then you will see some of your clients on the free dashboard and you'll see the ones that are on the paid plans on the paid dashboard. So without further ado, we're going to go across now and we will start looking at the first of the dashboards that we're going to look at, and that is going to be the portfolio dashboard. So we'll hop across into Hindsight in a second, and I'm just going to run through an overview of the dashboard, when it syncs with your zero data, the assignment of who gets to see the data on the dashboard, scrollers and hot links for navigation and quick workflows. So this is my portfolio dashboard within Hindsight. It's laid out in exactly the same way for everybody. So the very first row, we've got some information about our bank accounts. Second row, we've got some information about lock dates and the alerts by priority and by client. Then we've got sales invoice information in row 3, and then we've got information around supplier bills due in line 4. Everything that you see on this dashboard is driven by the alerts. So with the paid versions of the system, we are trying to filter out as much noise as possible. So the only stuff that will be presented on your portfolio dashboard is when a corresponding alert has been generated. So on our unreconciled bank transactions, we can see that we've got a count of 3. So I've got 3 items for Smart Team's current account, totaling £62. That doesn't mean there aren't any unreconciled transactions for any of the other bank accounts or any of the other clients, but this is the only one that is triggered in line with the parameters that we've set for the unreconciled bank transactions. That's the key distinction with the paid versions of the dashboard. There's much more noise and data being kind of filtered out. Now, if you've got a star after the client's name on your dashboard anywhere, that will indicate that you've told the system that you are responsible for the bookkeeping. So it's just a quick visual guide and aid so that you know what to do with the information you're being presented to you, whether it's your responsibility to act on that or whether it's something that you need to liaise with the client about. The total alerts by type, if we hover over the graphs, the bar chart, you can see we're getting the different alert types that have been generated today, and the number shows you the value. This is there to kind of highlight if there are any particular areas of concern. We've got small numbers ranging from 1 to 3, so nothing majorly concerning. If we had a big spike in here, then it's probably something that we would want to take a quick look at. We have hot links in the dashboards, so anywhere that you can see this kind of hot link here, if I click into this, it will take me through to the relevant part of the system. As these are driven by alerts, if I click into the alert for unreconciled bank transactions, it will take me to the corresponding alert for that. I'm not going to do that just now, but that's just for reference. On any of these items, it will take you through to the corresponding item there. So the idea with this dashboard is just to get a quick overview and idea of where you sit, what clients need attention, and any particular areas of concern. You can see by the alerts by priority. I've got 5 critical alerts that have been triggered today now. Because I'm looking at my portfolio dashboard, the 5 critical alerts are for all of the clients that I'm assigned to. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm assigned to those critical alerts, but it's telling me that there are 5 critical alerts that are there at the moment. You see we've got 14 in total, and we've got 14 on the alerts by client, so we can see who the worst clients are and who needs the most help. Please bear in mind, obviously, these are just the clients that are on the paid plans. If you've got clients that are on the free plans, they are not included in these totals. They'll be available on your free dashboard. Green ticks are good. That tells you that there's nothing that's been triggered today for that item. Again, where we've got sales invoices overdue, open credit notes, I can click into those and it's going to take me to the relevant part of the system. The general idea is a quick overview. Is there anything that needs immediate attention? Is there something that stands out that you need to pay attention to? Unlike the free dashboard where we're only displaying the top 5 results, in your paid plan dashboards, if you've got multiple clients and multiple bits of information that need to be displayed, you will find that there are scrollers in these panels, in these portlets. Because I've only got a small amount of data in here, you can't see them, but if I had 12 items in here for period lock date, there would be a scroller on the right hand side here that I'd be able to click into and navigate my way through. Now the reason I can see these 3 clients on my dashboard is because I'm assigned to them. So one of the most important things that we need to acknowledge is that if you want to use these dashboards, you need to have the relevant access rights to be able to see them. So somebody with practice admin rights will need to ensure that you've been assigned to those clients. So we can see in my situation here, I've been assigned to 4 different clients and I'm being assigned as a user on those 4 different clients. Okay. Now on my dashboard, what we've seen is that I only have 3 clients in my portfolio. The reason being that if I look at billing, I can see that I've got one of my clients on a free plan. So the reason that this client does not appear in my portfolio is because they're actually on the free dashboard, not because I don't have access to them at all. And you'll see that in just a second when we look at the free dashboard. Okay. The other thing to note is that I'm assigned to these clients as a user. So if I try and look at the manager's dashboard, I won't actually see any information on the manager's dashboard because I'm not assigned to any clients as a manager. In that instance, what I'm actually going to see is the dummy data and example dashboard, so that I can still see what the manager's dashboard would look like, but I'm not actually going to have any of my client information displayed in there, unless of course somebody allocates me to these clients as a manager, and then I'll see some information on my manager's dashboard. As we've just discussed, I'm assigned to all 4 clients as a user. This means that the user's dashboard will present some information for me for the 3 clients that are on the paid plan. We're going to walk through this as an example in just a second, but what we're going to see is information around client deadlines, what I've been up to in the last 30 days, any critical alerts, my heart rate, and how I'm performing across my portfolio that I look after. Okay, so if you look at the portfolio dashboard, this is my user's dashboard. So this is directing me to what I need to know about and what's important in terms of the clients that I'm working with. Now, nearly everything we do in accountancy is deadline orientated. So the purpose of this first panel is to focus your attention on the quarter ends that are approaching and to think about the VAT. So what we're doing here is we are looking at what quarter ends are coming up, how many days there are left until the quarter end. The heart rate represents the quality of the records, and then we're telling you whether there are any alerts that have been flagged up. Now, the bank reconciliation and the unreconciled transactions are not necessarily in relation to everything. Again, they are alerts driven. So as we can see for Smart Team, we've got 3 unreconciled items. That's because one of those 3 alerts that have triggered is the unreconciled items alert. For Hindsight Just Add Tech, we've got the bank reconciliation date in there, so that means one of those 6 and 5 alerts must be representative of the last time the bank was reconciled. Okay, so depending on how you've got your alerts structured will determine what you see in this panel. But everything here is just trying to guide you towards the deadlines that are coming up and what you need to be concentrating on. Now, each of these columns has got arrows on the top, so we can change these. So if we want to mess around with those, obviously I've only got 3 clients on here, so there's not that much to look at. But if we had lots of clients, again, there's scrollers in here, so you'd be able to scroll through the data. But we can also sort by multiple columns. So if we wanted to, we can just hit the shift button and hit the mouse, and then we can see that we've actually got a couple of different things going on here. So we can mess around with the data in here and do a search as well if we've got lots of clients that we're looking at. In the right hand side, we've got some information around how I've been doing in the last 30 days. So we've got the daily alerts graph, which is showing me that in the last 30 days I've had 52 alerts in total. If I hover over the graph, I can see what those totals look like. So back on the 15th of February, I had quite a peak, and then that came down the following day. So I must have done quite a bit of tidy up work on the 15th of February to get stuff back in order. In an ideal world, you'd like this to be reasonably consistent, or certainly going down towards the right. If it's going up towards the right, that would probably represent that the number of alerts are increasing, and that's not the direction that we want things to be going in. The average heart rate is color coded. So at the moment my graph is green because my average heart rate across the clients that I'm assigned to is 83. Again, if we hover over the chart, we can see how things have been performing. So a while ago, so towards the beginning of the month, I was ranking down in the 60s, and now my average heart rate is up in the 80s. So I've obviously done some good work this month because I've got things into better order. If it was below 50, it'd be red. And between 51 and 75 is amber. So it's just trying to direct your attention to anything that needs flagging up. Now, we saw on the portfolio dashboard that there were 5 critical alerts in the portfolio. You can see I've only got 4 in here, and that means out of the 5 critical alerts that were generated across the portfolio, I'm assigned to 4 of those instances. So if I were to click into these, that will take me through to the critical alerts. So again, we're trying to show you the important stuff here. These are the alerts that you have determined for your clients based on their parameters that these things are critical. Okay, and it's up to you to determine what those things look like. The heart rate, I can click into the heart rate and that will take me to the heart rate report. This is sorted with the lowest heart rate first. It might not mean that just because it's the lowest, it's the one that you need to spend some time on. You might use this in conjunction with the deadlines to determine if I've got something that's coming up shortly and the heart rate is in a poor condition, then I might tackle that first. Likewise, if I've got something that's low, but it's not going to be coming up for a couple of months yet, I might decide to not look at that one and look at something where there's a deadline coming up. So it's there to be used in conjunction with the deadlines to work out where you should be spending your time. The final panel on our users dashboard is around performance. So this last panel here is showing us over the last 30 days how we are performing compared to the other people in our practice. So we can see I've got out of 5 in the top right hand corner here. So this is notifying me that there are 4 other users in our practice. And my rankings underneath are telling me how I'm performing compared to those 5 people. So I'm first in a couple of areas and second in the vast majority. Each of these metrics is the same for the other people. I can't see theirs, they can't see mine, so it's not there as a guide to to try and beat people with a stick. What we should be doing is looking at our rankings and trying to understand how can we improve our performance, and ultimately if everybody moves their performance on a little bit, then overall the practice will definitely improve because of that. So if you take a look at these and you're ranking reasonably low in those, it might be an idea to speak to some of your fellow colleagues and see how they're using the system and what they're doing to see if there's a way that you can improve your performance overall and help the practice. The third of our dashboards that are available when you've got clients on a paid plan is the manager's dashboard. And this will be viewable by those users that are assigned to a client with manager's access. We showed this right at the beginning of the video with that table. If you've got some ticks in the managers column, you will see those clients on a manager's dashboard. We're going to go through the example dashboard in a second, just so that you can get a feel for the type of information that you're going to see, and also just so that I can show you what one of the example dashboards with the dummy data looks like. And we're going to go through the same things we've looked at on the user's dashboard because they're quite similar. We've got the client deadlines, some team statistics rather than user stats, the critical alerts, the heart rate, and the performance panel again. Okay, so we're on the user's dashboard and I'm assigned to everyone as a user. So if I go to the manager's dashboard, I'm now going to get a modal pop up just to explain to me that I don't have any clients as a manager. This is an example dashboard, but by all means, please take some time to have a look at it. So again, we've got the upcoming client deadlines. This is exactly the same as the user's dashboard. This one's got a bit more information, so we can see that there are scrollers in here if we've got more clients. But ultimately, again, as a manager, my attention is being driven towards what quarter deadlines have we got coming up, and are there members of staff that need some assistance. Okay, in the top right hand corner, rather than the user stats, we've got some information around team statistics. Okay, the heart rate is showing me as the manager the members of staff that are assigned to me, to my clients as a user. So I've got 4 people that are attached to my clients. Underneath their names, I can see a date. That date is the last time that they logged into Hindsight. So, unsurprisingly, Albert is never logged into the system and his average heart rate for his clients is only 23. So we can't be surprised by that fact. Denise is in the amber. Her average heart rate is 69, so it's not too far below the 75 kind of guideline, but Ian and Paul are definitely doing a better job. What we can see from the alerts, team stats, the number, so Denise has 118. That number doesn't necessarily represent the number of alerts, it's the number of alert items. So if you've got duplicate postings and there are 23 duplicate postings, you would see 23 here, not 1. The idea is that we're trying to flag up to the manager who has the heaviest workload. So if we have unfairly distributed the portfolio and we've lumbered certain members of staff with the worst quality clients with the heaviest workload, as the manager, it might be a good idea to have a look at this and try and determine if there's some stuff that we can do to be helping them. Again, the progress bars are color-coded. So for Denise, you can see lots of green there, a bit of amber and a bit of red. Now, the way that works is based on the alerts that have been completed for those staff members. So as you complete an alert, it will go green. If you dismiss it, it goes amber. And if you exclude something, it goes red. Now, it's not inconceivable that you would dismiss and exclude some items, but you wouldn't necessarily expect that to be the predominant colour. You can see for Ian that he's got everything has been dismissed or excluded. He hasn't completed all of his work, but what he has completed is amber and red. That means he hasn't actually corrected anything in Xero. He hasn't taken any form of corrective action at all, and that would concern me, because if we're flagging things up in the system and they're not being dealt with, somebody is going to have to pick those up at some point. So we may consider that Ian's done a great job because he's completed all of his alerts, but if he's taken no corrective action whatsoever, the next person in the chain is going to have to deal with those issues. So this is a guide for the managers to try and understand the average quality of the records that the staff are dealing with, and ultimately what their performance is looking like and how they're dealing with items, and if there are any training issues that need to be approached. In the bottom left, we've got the critical alerts again. You notice the difference with this one is, as well as having critical alerts, I've also got the initials of the people that are assigned to it. So again, these are my team members. These are the people that I work with, and they are assigned to these critical alerts. So what we are trying to flag up here to any managers, are there lots of critical alerts for the same client? So do we have a problematic client? Are there lots of alerts with the same staff member's name against them? So is there an issue with a particular staff member? Again, we might use the information in the team stats up here to draw a line of distinction and say, although it's the same person with lots of critical alerts, if they actually have the bulk of the work, then perhaps there's an unfair split there. Heart rate is exactly the same as the users. There's just a click through into the heart rate report from this screen. And then from a performance point of view, for the managers, their numbers here, so the out of 4 will be because there are 4 managers in this particular practice. So this time we're doing rankings, but we are taking the people that appear in your team up here and aggregating their data. So here you are looking at team statistics, whether we're first, second, third or fourth out of these particular areas. Again, the idea being that if we are, not performing as well in some areas, we might speak to some of the other teams and some of the other managers to try and understand how are they using the system and what are they doing to improve those scores. And if we can all elevate our scores up a little bit, then ultimately overall the clients in the practice will be the benefactors for that. And finally, the last dashboard out of the 4 that we have available in Hindsight is the free dashboard. And what you're going to see on the free dashboard are those clients that you are assigned to and those clients that are on the free plan. Okay, it's still basically on a portfolio basis. So if you've got 150 clients and it's split between 3 different individuals, you will only see the 50 that you're assigned to, as an example. Just like with the other dashboards, it will sync and it will update based on when we've synced with Xero, which happens overnight. So when you log in the morning, this will be up to date as at the live sync, which happens overnight. The biggest difference between the free and the paid dashboards is there is a limitation on the amount of information that we're displaying. We're only displaying the top 5 records, so there's no scrollers on this dashboard. There's no hot links to the individual items. So there is a bit more kind of work and navigation that needs to be done to tidy things up. But I'll just show you the free dashboard in Hindsight. Okay, so this is my free dashboard within Hindsight. As we saw earlier, I'm assigned to 1 client that's on the free plan. So there's not an awful lot of information on this dashboard because I've only got the one org. What we can see for the day, just like in the other system, we've got a couple of unreconciled bank accounts here. Now, there are no parameters on the free alerts. So unlike the paid one where we're filtering out noise, this one is actually showing you all of the unreconciled items. So we can see we've got one underneath for one item of a mighty £7. That might not, be something that you necessarily would want to deal with, but it would be flagged up on here. Now, what you can see is that we are only showing 5 accounts, 5 bank accounts, the 5 highest clients by total of alerts and the oldest 5 clients. So if you want to see more information in here, what you'll need to do is clear the alerts that relate to these items, and then you will see the next 5 records in your dashboard. Okay, so if you've got 100 clients on the free plan, you're only going to see the worst 5 instances. When you then start clearing your alerts, the dashboard will update and you will be able to see the next 5. Okay, so quite similar to the portfolio dashboard, we've got information around the bank and the type of alerts at the top, just to direct your attention if there's any particular concern area. Lock dates and the alerts by client and by partner. Just again, by partner is to flag up if there is any particular portfolio where there's an issue. And fortunately for me at the moment, I've got green ticks in all areas, so everything is looking wonderfully well for this one client in terms of the sales ledger and the purchase ledger. I don't have any old invoices or open credits or draft items at all, so that's fantastic. If we did have, they would be listed in here again, showing the top 5 items. Unlike the paid ones, these don't have hyperlinks through to the alerts and then into the transactions. You will need to navigate across into Xero to find the items that they relate to. But that in a nutshell is the 4 different dashboards that are available to you within Hindsight and the information that you can get from them.